So what I'd like to do today is tell you a little bit about how NutriSoil works and how it actually connects to human health. So farming with NutriSoil and how it connects to human health. And to do that, I'm just going to draw some pictures. I'm going to have here our little worm, our healthy human, and plant. What comes out of a worm? So we have microbes, and we have all a diversity of microbes. So we have microbes that are our medics. We have microbes that, so they create our medicine in our food, medicine for our plant. Then we have microbes who are we call them our Uber drivers. So they deliver dinner to us. So they are the nutrient cycling microbes that bring nutrients to the plant. Then we have our soldiers. So these are our protectors. They protect plants from pests and diseases. And then we have our garbage collecting microbes. So these are the microbes that clean up all the chemicals in the soil. So we have microbes that come out of the worm. We also have amino acids which come out of the worm. So amino acids are what build proteins. So what happens is a plant instructs an amino acid from their gene set and the environment how they should fold and how they should form. And the way an amino acid folds and forms determines whether it's a hormone, an enzyme, a signaling product, or something like that. So an amino acid is hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen. So we have these long lines of amino acids, and they twist and turn and do all sorts of different things. But that's really important because in nature it works in patterns and forms, and that's how plants and things know what their role is. So what you can see here is organic nitrogen. So organic nitrogen is in amino acids. So that's not the nitrogen that's on your soil test, and that's a really important part of farming with less nitrogen or farming without nitrogen. What also comes out of our worms is fulvic acids, humic acids, and we also have available nutrients. So these are the ones that are on our soil test. They're all there, but they're in that small but a complete form. And we also have surfactants. So basically, what you're looking at is the best compost tea machine you could ever buy, and that's in the gut of the worm. So the worm gets it right every time. So what we're doing is we're collecting all of these things that the plant needs to function healthily. So how does that function with the plant? So I'll show you. When we apply NutriSoil onto a plant, all of the microbes land on the leaf of the plant. Not all of them, some land down here. So what you've got on there is all of your medics, your Uber drivers, the people that protect you, and we've got the garbage collectors, all of those different functions. So these are your team that you need to manage, and they are landing on the leaf of the plant. Some stay on the leaf of the plant and they create a wax so it protects it from pests and diseases, things like rust, sun, and then some actually go into the plant. So what happens is the ones that go into the plant, some of them are used for the growth of the plant because some of these amino acids turn into proteins which are growth proteins, and then you have your other amino acids that turn into the functional type of functions. So this is called rhizophagy. And what happens, the microbes that are used for growth, but then you have got microbes that are actually programmed by the plant. So they have a little chat, and the plant says, this is what I need to be healthy. I want you guys to go out into the soil, tell everyone else, so now we can all live really happily together. So out go these microbes. So you've got a community of microbes, you've got your team out there, all working together. You've also got your plant increasing photosynthesis. So the increase of photosynthesis is again increasing your microbes. You've got all of your amino acids coming through, which are turning into these functional things which protect your plant from pests and diseases, protect your plant from sunshine, and help your plant with growth, when to go into a stress response, when to, so that might be from a grazing event, it might be from sun, it might be from drought, when to flower and when to die. So all of these hormones are really important. So when you're increasing your photosynthesis, you're increasing root systems, you're increasing microbes, you've got your team, you've got your medicine. So supporting all of this together, you're going to have less need for fertilisers, and you're going to have less need for chemicals. So you've got aggregation. So now you've got a highway for all your medics to come through, all your Uber drivers to come through, the people in the tankers, the microbes in the tankers and the garbage collectors. So everyone can get around and do their job really happily. You can fix nitrogen from the atmosphere because you've got aeration there with these bigger root systems, and the aeration happening from the aggregation. So aggregation happens with lots of stickies and glues that come from the microbes moving around in there. You've also got your organic nitrogen. So your organic nitrogen cycles through the nitrogen cycle. It can go from your ammonium to your nitrate and back around again. It can get taken up by the plants, but it can actually get taken up by the plants in amino acid form. And that means that the plant doesn't have to work as hard. So if you think of a grazing system where you have all of these organic nitrogens in there, and you have good aeration, you've got good grazing management, there's really no need for nitrogen. So it's about managing your team. Now, if I look at our healthy human here, what they also need is all of these amino acids. So these amino acids forming into proteins, forming into immunity. So it's really immunity of the plant and of the people that these amino acids form. So yes, nutrients are important. Surfactants help with the stickiness, so your NutriSoil lands on the leaf of the plant. But these medical people, amino acids, these guys are the ones that are missing from the conventional system. And if you look at all of the autoimmune diseases in humans, so we've got things like Parkinson's disease, we've got diabetes, we've got autism, we've got Alzheimer's. I can't spell Alzheimer's. So in the human body, what they're finding is that these diseases come from these proteins that are not forming properly. They're sticky and they're unfolding. Same thing that's happening in the plant, losing its immunity because these proteins just cannot form. So in a human, it's bizarre, what makes these things unfold is urea and heat. And if you think in a plant, what makes these things unfold is urea, too much nitrogen, and overgrazing. So your plant constantly being exposed to heat. So it's not only important that us humans have these medical microbe team coming in, it's also important that the plant does. And what they're finding is that the conventional plant next to the regenerative plant, the biggest difference is all of these amino acids, which we also call secondary metabolites. So it's the complexity that we're missing that is missing in our bodies. And then we're getting microbes come into us that are also, we don't have that full complexity of microbes coming into us. So again, the soil is like the gut. We need diversity of microbes. We need the whole team working together, and we need the highways for them to drive around in and do their job. In here, we need the diversity of microbes in our gut. What that means is we need to work out how to get this complexity in your soil, and that's grazing management, but it's also using biological stimulants. So let me turn this around. How can you use NutriSoil or a biological stimulant? You can use it on a seed, you can use it in furrow, you can use it on a plant, and you can use it with good grazing management. That is a sheep. So 5 litres per tonne on the seed. What you're doing is you're coating that seed with available nutrient, you're coating it with your full team of microbes, you're coating it with humic and fulvic substances, and time after time you'll get bigger root systems. 5 litres per hectare in furrow, exactly the same. So you're giving that seed the best environment for that root system to really do its job. 5 litres per hectare on a plant increases your photosynthesis, increases the whole team of microbes happening. And with grazing management, we know that good grazing management increases photosynthesis because that root system comes back, and then you wait for that recovery, and in that some point between recovery and the grazing system, you get another boost of photosynthesis by using NutriSoil, and you're protecting it from pests and diseases. So you would like to use it in spring and autumn normally, but it depends on your farming system. So for instance, John might use it a lot more times if he's got a dairy farm and it's more intensive grazing. But there should get a point where all you do is you coat the seed. There should get a point where all you need is good grazing management. But Graham, as you know, we're not doing this. We're not doing it well, and we've been teaching people for so long how to do that. So NutriSoil is an excellent transition tool for people to get that soil functioning. So we have a lot of holistic grazers who come to us and say it's not working. And I think, well, we need to learn how to graze again, but also we can help you in that transition. So the humic and fulvic substances help anything that you add with NutriSoil to penetrate into the leaf of the plant, so you can use less. So you can do tissue tests, and you can add things with a worm liquid. So it could be any of your trace elements or a small amount of nitrogen, particularly in the winter time or something like that, just to boost the system. Just give it a good wash out 3 times, yeah. You can use a little bit of detergent or some type of White King, but just the tiniest amount. Yeah, so just good hygiene with your spray tank. Not everyone has a spray tank for each, and not everyone is at that point where they're not using herbicide yet, but that is our goal. I think that coating the seed is something that we can visually see really easy, because that is where you get that big root system. So what happens with the foliar application is you can't see 20% of growth, and you can't see that root system moving down further than what your shovel is. So I would say that they're both important, but for us humans, we can see that this works really well. But good grazing management is important in that as well. If you had a choice and you had a very small budget, I would say start with the seed coating, but you will get more benefit from using the whole system and from monitoring it with tissue tests and things like that until you get to that point where you can manage that system with your team of microbes. So, and you can use less chemical using this system. We have these rows of composting worms, and we mist over it. So when we mist over it, we've like all of this top area is chockers with worms, And then when we mist over it, we're collecting all of the things that come out of the worms. So we're collecting all of the mucus, all of the microbes that come out. And we know that those microbes can come out in the right form. So we're actually misting it, recycling it 3 times. It's not a wash. So when you're using a compost extract, you're washing. So you're either got a bag of compost and you're blowing water off it and it's bubbling around and you wait until the water's brown, or you can have a fan in there which turns it around. You won't get the same microbial amounts in there. So we've had it tested. So NutriSoil against the David Johnson Sioux, against compost extract, and NutriSoil has the most diversity of microbes in it, and that's really where the power comes from. It's the microbes that make all of these other complex products. They make signalling products, they make all these type of complexities that we need in the soil. So I would say that's why you're using your 70 litres per hectare of extract and 5 litres per hectare of NutriSoil. It's because this is more concentrated. What happens is it's easier for the plant to absorb it. The fulvic acids in it open up the cells in the leaf of the plant. You would use that the same if you were using a herbicide, for instance. You would add some fulvic acid to make it penetrate more, and then you can use less. So we know that using a foliar application, it's easier for the plant to take in, but you're also putting in that team of microbes into that plant for them to have that chat and then go out into the system again, into the soil. Landing on the soil, the plant has to work harder. It has to find it in its root system. So you want to really zone it in on the leaf, or zone it in on, the seed, or zone it in on the leaf of the plant. I mean, that's where it's going to be collecting its carbon dioxide, so if you've got good respiration coming, but most systems are landing on the leaf. I don't know, if you had a spray system that sprayed upwards, that would be a good thing to trial.
Could you use a mister?
Yes, so if you use a mister, you actually use less again. So people have drones and you would use 30% less because, again, it's that fine particles going in. And you're right, that might collect up underneath the leaf. The stomata is kind of what we call the cell, like opens the cell of the leaf, yeah. It's absorbed through all of the areas of the leaf. It's not like it has to drip underneath and go in. Yeah, so they're still alive in the product. We add 0.5% of humate as a food source for them. We know they're still alive because the pH changes while it's in the drum, so it's actually making organic acids and moving around. We know the drum expands and it contracts, and then when it runs out of its food source, it goes dormant. When you're putting it out onto the leaf of the plant, however, when it's put into a really harsh condition, like if it's really hot, those microbes could die within seconds. But they're still there, they're leaving their bodies, they're leaving the things that they've made in that time. They could last up to 4 hours. So it's very dynamic, changing all the time. So it's probably about the food source of keeping them active. So we say try and buy it for the season, and if you've got some left over, that's okay. Make sure you keep it out of the sun. But when you're spraying it out again, it actually just activates them again. So you can add something with it, like some more fresh NutriSoil, which would activate them. But they do say just that action of them going out into another environment is when they activate, because microbes turn on and off all the time, depending on what they need to do. So for instance, if a microbe goes into a soil that's really full of chemicals, all of those microbes that are needed for that particular chemical breakdown will switch on. It is high 7s, can go to 8, and people have concerns, oh, should I be putting some lime with it when it goes out? But we've added, we've done tests, if you add it to the water and it just dilutes out and it goes back to your water pH again like neutral. We've put it in a 6.5 water and then it's all gone back to that again because it's small amounts. Generally, if you can put everything, all the pieces together of a good farming system, and you can manage those microbes well, you wouldn't need to add anything. So a worm liquid is probably the most broad base of all of the biologicals that you can use. It has all of the functions in it. But having said that, there's so many different farming systems. So people might choose to do a tissue test and they're low in copper or they're low in zinc, and they might choose to add a little bit of that. And we get that question a lot: can we add trace elements with NutriSoil? Doesn't it kill the microbes? But small amounts is okay, because that's the chelation going in with the microbes because of the high density of microbes in the product. A worm has, it's small amounts, but it's the most powerful fulvic acid that you can find. Go back to that compost tea maker. That's what a worm is. It's your best compost tea maker that gets it right every time, and it's very powerful. So nature works in very small amounts.